I'm Bobby Chakravarti. I'm the interim chair of IOSH. I have taken over from Peter Bonfield, who has stepped down in October, and Council have elected me to become the interim chair in the meantime. And welcome all to everyone to the 22nd Annual General Meeting of IOSH. I would like to thank you all, firstly, for your attendance in the virtual capacity. And we'll do the introductions first and do some housekeepings in terms of how the voting and questionnaire procedure will work. Coming to the introductions, you can see a lot of people around here in the table in Leicester in our HQ. I have Vanessa Howard Richard, who's the Chief Exec of IOSH, on my right-hand side. And then I've got Stuart Hughes, who's the president, your current president for IOSH. And then we have Kelly Nicoll, who's our president-elect. And we're also joined by senior leadership team on this table. We have Sanjit Bains on the far left here, not far left, but one before, as the Director of Corporate Planning. We have Wally on my right, who's the Director of Finance. And we have from Governance, Joanne Dalton, Head of Governance. And Jolene will probably facilitating all the questions that you will be asking today, and she will manage that side of the things. I also would like to commend some of the people who are not here from an SLT point of view. Some of them are not feeling better, but only from their commitment point of view, they're still attending it online in a virtual capacity. And I would like to welcome some of our SLT team who are Ruth Lake, who's Director of Strategic and Commercial Development. We have James Murphy, Director of Marketing, Policy and Insight. And we have Nicole Rinaldi, who's Director of Professional Services. And they're all here to answer some of the questions that you might have throughout the AGM process. The notice for convening the meeting has been circulated to all the members. With the permissions of the meeting, I will take the notice as read. The AGM should conclude by 4:20 p.m. this afternoon. It's 1 o'clock here. Depending on where you are globally, it would take about an hour and 20 minutes, basically, and that's what we would expect this would last. We will try and bring it earlier, but if it goes up, it might be about 5 minutes. So please bear with us and make sure that you're all not sleepy. It's very important. Some of the House rules in terms of voting and questions procedure. I'm sure if I skid somewhere, Jolene will bring me back in terms of what the voting procedure is. But as far as I'm aware, the AGM is being conducted virtually, so all votes have been cast by proxy and have been submitted by corporate members in advance of the meeting in accordance with our regulation. So all eligible members were given the opportunity to vote by proxy electronically up until 1 o'clock yesterday, BST, the British Standard Time. An independent organization called My Voice, I think we have used them previously, was appointed as the specialist organization to ensure that it's done correctly and manage the AGM voting process. The outcome and total number of votes for each resolution will be displayed after each are presented to you, and each have been proposed and seconded by a member. All members who are present today are entitled to attend and ask questions at the AGM. Any members that registered to attend was given an opportunity to ask questions relating to any of the resolutions that we are going to discuss today on the agenda in advance of the meeting. All questions raised have been addressed and published on the AGM IOSH webpage well in advance of the voting closing. And for this reason, we will not be taking any questions relating to any of the resolutions. We will try and keep it in time. If we are taking all the questions, it might go beyond the time. So we will not be taking any questions on the resolutions today. We will, however, be offering everybody who is present today an opportunity to ask questions relating to any other matters on the agenda. And I will invite answers from Vanessa, who is our Chief Executive, or any one of the senior leadership team. I'm sure when a question is asked, they will know who is the right person to provide a response, and we will do our best effort to make sure that we get you the answer that you want. All attendees, in accordance with the rules of any online meetings these days, will be muted throughout the meeting. For anyone who wishes to ask a question, please can you use the Q&A question function within the meeting. When I ask for a proposer and seconder for each of the resolutions that we're going to go through in our AGM today, I will also ask to raise your hand function, not your physical hand, but the hand function that you have on your screen. And I will take the first two members that virtually raised their hand as basically a proposer and a seconder for those resolutions. Finally, this meeting is being recorded so that we have accurate reflection of the meeting and the decisions we make. And for that purpose, and to also assist in the minutes of the meeting, basically. In terms of, as you can see on the screen, the scope of this AGM, items to be considered at our AGM are laid down in our bylaws. It's the bylaw 10. Each ordinary resolution requires a simple majority in favour to be approved. However, the special resolutions, which there are two today that we will be discussing, requires a majority of no less than 3/4. That's about 75%. And we need to make sure that we get 75% of that agreement for those two special regulations. And all members are eligible to vote at today's meeting. Before we move on to the items of business and resolutions, Vanessa and I would like to share a presentation that takes a look back at the last year and look forward to the future as well. There's two aspects of it. I invite you to ask questions in relation to the presentation using Q&A function. Again, the function is there on the website. And following the presentation, we'll be delighted to share our thoughts with you. Thank you, there's a slight delay. Everybody knows what our vision is as IOSH, because the presentation is basically about covering a snapshot of year 2 of IOSH Activate 2028 strategy. Everybody knows that we're into the second year of that. And our entire ethos is driven by our charitable objectives, basically. The first one, which you can see on the slide, is all about golden thread that connects Activate 2028. And it's looking back at IOSH as a charitable objects to ensure that we're delivering on our charitable purpose, firstly, and that for the public benefit. Our first objective is all about sharing good OSH with those who can influence workplace safety and health across the world. This is where our work with our strategic partners, with regulators, with our investors, communities, and with businesses at large is targeted so that we protect workers' lives and their families and communities by extension. We show them what good looks like. We lobby for this to be implemented across all sectors, and we help people on the ground to make sure that it's absolutely implemented. I'm sure Vanessa will step through some of the highlights of this work that we've been doing in the background, with much of the support and expertise coming from our member volunteers who are a critical part of this organization, for which we are really, truly, truly appreciative of. The trustees dedicate financial resources through annual budgets and some of our charitable reserves to fund this work. That's about our charitable objective 1. The second one is all about sharing good OSH. There is one of the special resolutions where we are trying to make sure that this is actually improved throughout this meeting today. And it's all about how we create communities and partnerships that connects members, partners, and professionals together to share the knowledge and support. I mean, this is where our council and presidential team, they are doing fantastic work. If you look back in the last 1 year, they've been trying to make sure that the best OSH is communicated out there and the best of the OSH is shared with other people so that we're all better together. And this is important. And that word spread, it encourages standards to raise from all players who influence health and safety. And critically, it helps our members feel part of something bigger. There is power in the collective, especially when day-to-day OSH professionals can feel their lone voice talking through issues in their organizations. And collective voice is elevated with partners who work with us on Objective 1, as well as IOSH has huge influence worldwide because of this. Members also connect with each other to share knowledge and support through activities linked to our branches and sector groups. And finally, the third objective is all about professional status of our members and how they continue to maintain and improve their knowledge and capability. All our education and professional standards are centered on competency framework. I particularly sit on Policy and Standards Committee as Vice Chair, and I know well through how important it is and how we scrutinize absolutely everything that goes through. We are proud that we have professional status is highest of standards in IOSH, and our members strive to achieve and maintain this status globally. Members with charter status are at the pinnacle of their profession and recognized by employers, recruiters, and typically earn more than those without charter status across the space. This is vital for IOSH standards around the world, as they are to be raised by our profession and is trusted by organizations. They also support in enabling a safe and healthy world of work. And of course, it's great benefit to those seeking to be the best in their careers. So it is a really important charitable objective, which we are really working hard to make sure that we support our members globally. I'm now going to hand over to Vanessa to share some of the fantastic achievement IOSH has had over the last year and looking into the future.
Thank you very much, Bobby. Hello, everybody. Fantastic to see you all online today together. So I'm just going to do a whistle-stop tour through our impact from our last financial year. So that's the first year of our new strategy, Activate 2028. I can't possibly include everything that we've done over that year, so it really is the highlights. So as Bobby outlined, everything that we do has that golden thread back to our charitable objects, and that's really important as it drives our public benefits and, of course, our support to you, our members. It has been a tremendous year, and I'm really pleased to share some of the highlights with you today. So we're an authority that leads, and that's really important to us. It's a key part of Activate 2028. So we think it's really important that our members' voices are listened to and amplified through to all those who can influence workplace health and safety around the world. So this includes people like government and policymakers worldwide. And we do that in a number of ways. And again, this is just a highlight. So this year, we were really proud to become an ECOSOC special consultative status member with the United Nations. And this allows us to literally have free rein in the United Nations to be able to lobby NGO partners, governments, people working within the UN family of organisations. So our influence is really at the highest level it can be. And it's because of the membership and the expertise that you have as an IOSH profession that we were recognised by the International Labour Organization and invited to join the Global Coalition for Social Justice. So making sure that decent work is at the heart of all conversations around social justice. So your voices really get heard in the most important places around the world. And of course, we continue our relationships with the Commonwealth. We're an accredited organisation with them, and we have huge impact with some of the on-the-ground work that I'll refer to a little bit later with the International Labour Organization and the World Health Organization, who, for example, we've been working with to improve healthcare workers' health, safety and well-being. And our voice really carries a punch. We're really proud of this, so it has power and it is listened to. We were really determined under Activate 2028 to have a really strong voice on our behalf of our members. We hear a lot that perhaps there's frustration sometimes that your voice isn't heard. And we particularly wanted that to be the case in policy matters. So we're really pleased that one of the things that we've done in the last year is work with the IOSH Alliance, so that's with other UK IOSH interested organisations, to lobby the government around the revocation of EU law, and successfully so in doing that. And we've also carried out a number of consultations. So you'll regularly see surveys as members of IOSH coming asking your opinion on things. That data gets used and then amplified into all sorts of different consultations. You can see the sort of range of different things that we've had impact with this year. And importantly, it also helps us to drive policy positions. So these are reference documents that state quite clearly what our standards and our positions are on key IOSH issues. We now have 23, and they range from all sorts of different subjects around sort of core IOSH safety principles, for example, on musculoskeletal disorders, right through to future thinking on things like artificial intelligence. And all of that really comes from very active thought leadership. So we carry out a huge amount of research and development activity. A lot of our charitable funds go into the generation of peer-reviewed research, as well as lots of other things that we do besides. And that sharing that thought leadership is really important. So again, I can't possibly touch on all the things that we do during the year, but some highlights again were having the opportunity to speak at the 111th session of the International Labour Conference in Geneva, at the Commonwealth Youth Ministers meeting in London, and with the World Health Organization looking at the healthier and safetier and more resilient workplaces. So each time our voice is being amplified in the room, and many of the times we are really actively influencing policy at international level, drawing a highlight on where health and safety is so important. But it's just not all about talk, and that's a really key thing. We want to make sure that that policy level discussion has a trickle-down effect into governments, into business, into the regulator, and of course into workers and IOSH professionals all around the world. And for that reason, we decided to kind of take that model in practice and focus on our rural industries projects, which I'm sure many of you will have seen online, the documentaries that we've produced around this. So this is working in West Africa, in Ghana and Kenya, where people were facing chronic harm in rural industries such as shea butter production, fishmongery, textile weaving, and quarry scavenging. And of course, we'll report on the progress that the workers are making in these different communities throughout the life of Activate 2028. And without a spoiler alert to next year's AGM, I'm pleased to say that we're making real impact there. And of course, that's all about business. And it really is important that you all work in organisations that business leaders take IOSH seriously. So we continue to work with businesses large and small. We've developed 2 further business leader communities in this last year. And we really want to make sure that business leaders understand and value and respect the advice that our members give, and hopefully make businesses a better place to work for all workers. And it's not just about us telling again, we like to practice what we preach. So I'm really proud to say that we achieved ISO 45001 this year. So great news to see that. And we've also benchmarked with our other professional bodies in our sector. And we're really pleased to share that we won a gold award for Blueprint, our continuing professional development online learning tool, at the recent Association Excellence Awards. These are tough awards to get. Just being shortlisted for them, quite frankly, is amazing. So we're really proud that we are leading by example. And I guess finally, but most importantly, we want to make you as members shine in the IOSH profession, and we are doing so much to support you. So our membership continues to grow. So we have over 50,000 members at the end of last financial year. We have new student members totaling 584, and great to see new chartered members and fellows also continuing to follow through. And I've just referred to our award-winning Blueprint. Well, 74% of you last year were recording your CPD in that. Fantastic. Thank you. Keep that going. And really good to see again the uptake of our new ethics professional training. And it's not just about last year. Of course, during the year, we're also investing in making sure that we future-proof what we do for our members. So we rolled out new membership grades. We launched our new experiential route to membership for those that don't have qualifications but have significant experience. And we rolled out 2 new awarding organisation qualifications, our level 3 and level 6 qualification. All of this is about enhancing the standards that the profession demonstrates. And it goes on. So not only do we enhance membership standards, but we also train 196,000 people in our last financial year, and we accredit higher education and other awarding organisations and their courses and programmes, as you can see on screen. So our reach is pretty phenomenal. And we really want to connect you as members, as Bobby alluded to in his opening session. It's really important that we connect people to share good practice everywhere around the world. We want you to connect, network, understand how to develop yourself, how to get on in your career and collaborate together. And I think this diagram just shows it. Everywhere in the dark blue is somewhere where there is an IOSH member in this world. So our reach is huge. And I just really want to call out the amazing work that our volunteers do in our branch and group activities. Again, it's been a tremendous year this past financial year, with something like 15,000 people attending these 211 branch events and 92 group events. It equates amazingly to about one branch or group event taking place on every working day in the last financial year. So huge kudos to those of you that have been involved in delivering these. And it's not just branches, we're connecting people through our mentoring scheme as well. So we launched, in addition to just sort of career enhancing mentoring, the opportunity to upwards mentor, downwards mentor and sideways mentor. So there's no reason why you can't find somebody to help you, to support you in your day job, in your career. And finally, I just really want to say that our members really do go beyond. And I want to pay tribute to everybody in the groups and branches, to our external committees, to our members of council, to our trustees, everybody that helps make this a reality. So thank you to all of you. It has only been a sort of short skate through things, but I hope gives you a flavour of some of the many activities that we've covered over the last financial year. So I will hand back to Bobby now to take any questions.
Thank you, Melissa. I think we have about 10 minutes to take some questions, and we'll try and cover as much ground as we can cover on those questions. However, if we're not covering any questions, I'm sure we will provide some response on our webpage for those questions anyway. I will now hand over to Jolene, who's going to facilitate the question and answer session.
Thank you, Bobby. So the first question that we've had in today is, I think it's probably for Nicoll. And the question is, how many people attend our events virtually compared to face-to-face?
Thank you, Jolene, for that question. So of our branch events, we had 11,403 attendees, of which 9,217 attended virtually and 2,186 face-to-face. And then of our 19 group events, there were 3,825 who attended webinars, and then 256 attended face-to-face. And it's really important, actually, because what came through in our membership surveys in both 2021 and in 2023 is it's that mix of the virtual and the face-to-face that is really important to our members. So I'd like to add my thanks to Vanessa's, actually, to our committees who work really hard to match the types of events to the best method for our members to receive them. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you. The second question I think is probably best directed to Vanessa. And the question is, why did IOSH become an awarding organisation?
Oh, thanks, Jolene. So this was all part of our enhanced strand under our Work 2022 strategy, so our previous strategy, which really focused on raising standards in the occupational safety and health profession. And we felt that it was really important that we matched what we were saying needed to happen in terms of raising standards through our competency framework through 2 qualifications. So over the life of that strategy, we successfully applied to Ofqual for regulation of our qualifications, and I'm really pleased to say you'll recall from previous annual general meetings that we were successful in that. And actually we have our first learners sitting assessments this very week. So what's come from really a sort of dream that we continue to raise occupational safety and health standards is now a reality. And good luck to all of those that are sitting this week.
Thank you. Nicoll, I think the next question is for you. Why have we introduced changes to our CPD?
Thanks, Jolene. So really, all of our members are undertaking CPD daily, and it's a real demonstration of their competence, their commitment, and that demonstration of the trust that employers, clients, and others have in our members. So it was really to enhance that recognition of our members through their development. We've always asked our members to undertake CPD. What has changed is the requirements around the recording of their CPD. So as members come up for renewal from November, we'll be asking them to demonstrate that they've recorded 30 hours of CPD. Actually, if any of our members have questions, would like support in and around their CPD requirements, they can get in touch with us, and the membership team will be really happy to help.
Okay, thank you. I think this next one, it probably is for Nicoll, but I think Vanessa, you probably would answer this one too. What is the IOSH strategy to increase new members for IOSH?
Thank you. Well, I think first and foremost, we're after quality, not quantity. So that's very clear. Because we are a professional body, we're looking to raise standards. So that doesn't automatically always imply growth. But we are really keen to make sure that we have as much reach as possible through our membership. So there are lots of different activities that we're doing, new products and services that are being brought on, different ways that you can become a member. So I referred, for example, in the experiential route in my presentation, which allows a completely different route to allow people to become chartered. So there's lots of different things, but I'll perhaps hand over to Nicoll just to bring that alive a little bit, if I may.
Thank you, Vanessa. Yes, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there. We really want to be inclusive and open to enable members not just to join as members and gain from all the benefits and products and services, but actually to have that recognition and that demonstration of their career progression. Our teams will work with our local branches, our groups, to invite and to talk about membership and to support members who wish to join. And similarly, actually, we'll work with employers so that we can really get the message, if you like, about IOSH and the value of IOSH out to as many people as we can, so they can see and make those informed decisions to join us.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question, sorry, Vanessa, I think this one's coming to you. There are lots of dissatisfied members on social channels. Why aren't you listening?
Well, we do listen, that much I can assure you. And I think it's always the case, isn't it, that online it's very easy to get drawn into negative conversations. But actually, we do track that back at IOSH, and we take sentiment analysis off social media. And I think we track at around about 91% positive reaction on social media. So whilst it might feel like there's a sort of negative presence, that isn't actually the case. I think where people do state dissatisfaction with membership, we're really keen to follow up with people, particularly if it has been online. So quite often when you see conversations going on social media, there'll be a colleague back at IOSH Base who's calling the members to check that they're okay and to see what we can do if there is something that we need to remedy. So we do pay attention and we do actively engage with members around that.
Thank you. Okay, the next question I think is for Ruth, and the question is, could you give an outline of how many people have gone through the level 3 and level 6 qualifications?
Hi, it depends on the question slightly, in that we have the level 3 and the level 6 that's awarded via the awarding organisation, and then we have the level 3 and level 6 products which IOSH Academy offer. IOSH Academy has been running level 6 since October last year, so we've just got our first cohort coming up to those first exams, as Vanessa mentioned earlier, and overall we're running cohorts mainly on a monthly basis, where we're introducing around 10 new people a month joining the level 6 programme. The level 3 programme is about to launch, so that was announced this week, which is very exciting. So IOSH Academy's level 3 will be available in the next couple of weeks for people to sign up to, and we've already got a number of people interested in that programme, so we hope to be able to share numbers around that moving forward.
Okay, thank you. The next question, I think probably Vanessa, maybe Nicole. The question is, how do you plan on keeping hold of keen and willing IOSH members? Do you plan on responding to applicants for various roles that you have, such as future leaders, and making members feel valued?
I'm thinking I may bring our two fellow members that are sitting on this, because I know you've done, Stuart, particularly an awful lot. So I'm actually wondering, Stuart, would you mind answering what you've done in terms of member recognition for volunteering?
I'm happy to do so. I think one of the things that was really important in the last 12 months was to really recognise the value within the volunteer network. So we've set up a series of volunteer awards, which are now established and running. And I think I'd encourage people to, one, think about who they could nominate for those, and two, come to the events to celebrate their peers' achievements. Future Leaders community is thriving, and we've done a lot of work as a presidential team to represent that community and to help them. And then I would say in addition to that, I think when one of the things, there's lots of people that apply for roles. So I think we can try and give you, feedback as a whole if you've been unsuccessful. But what I would always say, and I say to anybody that's come towards something and not been successful, is don't let that put you off coming again. I think my journey to becoming president, wasn't successful at every opportunity. I have hit a few hurdles and carried on with that, and there might be more other opportunities that you can take. And I think if you have been through a process and we haven't given you feedback, there are also other options to go and get feedback. So chip into the mentor scheme and speak to somebody about that process that you've been through. So that's what I'd say. That's the best way to approach it, I think, Vanessa.
Thank you. I don't think I can add anything to that fulsome answer. Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you. That's actually brought us to the end of our allotted time for the questions. Just to say, there are quite a lot of questions that have come in around individuals' membership, so we will undertake to reply to those offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Jolene, and thanks, Vanessa, Ruth, and Nicole, and Stuart for actually providing some responses to those questions. We now move on to items of business on the agenda. Item 1 is review and consider the annual report. The bylaw 10(2)A requires the receiving and consideration of IOSH annual report. I would now like to pass on to Valerie Lee, Director of Finance and Governance, to share her presentation.
Thank you, Bobby. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today. So I have a presentation, but before I move on to that, I thought it might be useful if I provided a little bit of background to the annual report and accounts. So I think the most important thing to say is that we have an unqualified audit report. And what that means is that our finances, our annual report and account, has been independently examined by our auditors. And we have nothing to worry about there. So that's good. It's been given a clean bill of health. So what we're going to do now, we are going to look at the presentation on the finances, and then afterwards we'll go to some Q&A. Thank you.
I'm pleased to be able to provide you with some further details on the annual report and accounts for the year ending 31st of March 2024. The report and accounts show the consolidated financial position of IOSH Group. This includes the charitable organisation and 2 owned subsidiaries, IOSH Services Limited, our trading entity, and OSHCA, our Occupational Safety and Health Register. The accounts were approved by the Board of Trustees at their meeting on the 24th of September, having previously been reviewed and recommended to the Board by our Audit and Risk Committee. Later this month, they will be filed at the Charity Commission, and separately, the ISL and OSHCA accounts will be filed at Companies House. The report and accounts have been structured in a way which will allow us to continue to report on the progress of Activate 2028 as we move through the strategy. The slide on the Statement of Financial Activities is one of the most important pages in the accounts, and it's the charity equivalent of the profit and loss account. As a charity, making a profit is not one of our main objectives, and in some years, we might even plan for a deficit budget, for example, in years where we know we have significant one-off expenditures. The top row of this slide shows that our total income for the year was 17.3 million, an increase of 0.7 million or 4% compared to last year. Membership income increased by 5.2%, 449,000 for the year, and ISL income increased by 65,000, 0.8%. Below the income line, we can see the expenditure for the year of 17.4 million, an increase against last year of 0.9 million. It's worth noting that as income has increased, we would naturally see an increase in any costs that vary directly with income. In addition, we invested in our workforce by 8%, making a conscious decision to do that to ensure our capacity was sufficient to enable delivery of the ambition of Activate 2028. You will see from the Statement of Financial Activities that in 23-24 we produced an operating deficit of 82,000. This is shown in the annual report and accounts as net expenditure for the year before investment gains. It's worth noting that we had budgeted for a deficit in year, so this operating deficit result is not unexpected and again reflects our investment in our new strategic ambition. Below the operating deficit, we can see net gains on investments for the year of 773,000. This represents the gain in value of our investment portfolio before any dividends or interest. And the gain represents an upside in global trading conditions in the financial year as equity markets recovered from the previous year's poor global trading conditions. The investment portfolio has performed well over the medium term, with cumulative net gains of 1.5 million in the 5 years to 31st of March 2024. Our portfolio is independently, professionally managed, and the investment results are reported through to the Finance and Investment Committee at each meeting, and this provides assurance that those funds are being managed properly and within the parameters of the approved investment and reserves policies. The bottom line of the slide shows the funds carried forward for the year at 16.2 million, an increase of 691,000 in the year. Moving on to the balance sheet slide, this provides a snapshot of the assets and liabilities of the charity. The top line of the balance sheet shows our tangible and intangible asset. The tangible assets include the value of the Grange at 1.6 million and the value of our IT assets. Our intangible fixed assets comprise software development costs, and also the trademarks in ISL and OSHA. Our investments are recorded in the accounts at their year-end market value, and the 12 million value at the year-end comprises a mixture of equities, bonds, and some cash. As I previously mentioned, the value of the investment portfolio varies according to market conditions, but it is professionally managed on behalf of IOSH. Within the stocks and debtors lines, we have stock relating to stock held within ISL of 92,000 and debtors of 1.5 million, which relate to our customers who pay according to normal credit terms. Included in the creditors number is 3.7 million relating to subscriptions paid in advance. The bottom half of the balance sheet, below the net assets line, are the funds in which our assets are held. The general funds reserve represents the free funds of the charity, which are not designated for specific purposes. The non-charitable trading funds are the retained earnings of IOSH Services Limited, the trading entity, and these are gift-aided each year to the charity. We then have our designated reserve funds totaling 5.7 million, and the major components of this designated reserves are as follows. We have our fixed asset fund of 1.9 million. We have a research fund of 2.8 million, an infrastructure fund of 305,000 and a strategy fund of 460,000. Also included within the designated reserves this year is the donation we received in year of 188,000 from Telford Occupational Health Service Limited. These funds have been ring-fenced for projects that will support members in future years. Our research fund was established at 3 million in the year ending 31st of March 2020, and it's ended the 23-24 financial year at 2.8 million. Work was paused during COVID, and the pipeline of research for public benefit was reopened in the current year by commissioning Lancaster University to research the impact of the International Labour Organization Declaration of a Safe and Healthy Working Environment as a fundamental principle and right at work. Our strategic partnerships with global organisations are part of our IOSH capacity and capability activity. This includes the UN family of institutions such as World Health Organisations and International Labour Organisation, as well as our work as a Commonwealth accredited organisation. We work with those organisations on shared agendas through agreed activity plans which support governments, regulators, funders and business to raise IOSH standards in the world, with our volunteer members actively supporting these initiatives on the ground. And finally, on this balance sheet slide, we have our restricted funds of 73,000, and this relates to the OSHCA reserves, and these can only be utilised within OSHCA. The next slide shows the income for the year and expenditure detail of the organisation, split out by function. At the top of the slide, we have a bar chart that shows the total income in the year split across membership, training and other income. The membership income is shown in green on the left-hand side of the bar chart and is 8.9 million for the year. The training income is shown in purple and is 7.8 million for the year. All other income is grouped together in this chart and shown in blue on the far right and equates to 500,000 for the year. The pie chart below this bar chart shows expenditure for the year split by activity function. And we can see that the largest expense relates to membership costs at 48% of total expenditure, which equals 8.3 million for the year. In the year to 31st of March 2024, membership provided a contribution, that's income less costs, of 0.6 million towards IOSH's other charitable activities. And those charitable activities fund other areas of IOSH that support the membership either directly or indirectly. In terms of the membership, you'll notice in the accounts it refers to 18 staff members working on membership. This might be slightly confusing, so please let me explain a little more. The 18 doesn't include everyone who works, supports or contributes to the success of the membership offer. For example, we have staff working in marketing and events who are providing and supporting content that helps members. Similarly, we have our colleagues in governance, finance, IT, buildings and facilities, in addition to the senior leadership team, all of whom are working and contributing to the success of our membership offer. Our financial sustainability is crucial to success. To be financially sustainable, we need to have a balanced budget over the medium to long term, secure sources of income, and access to cash or cash equivalents that we can draw down on if required. As I mentioned earlier, there may be years we budget for a deficit, and that's okay because we have the reserves that we can call upon in those years. The top bar chart on this slide shows total income, expenditure, operating surplus or deficit, and the net gain or loss on investments in the years 2019, 2020, to the current 23-24 financial year. The dark green column in the chart shows the income each year. The purple shows the expenditure, followed by a small bar which shows operating surplus or deficit each year. And the final bar on this top chart, on the far right, shows the net gain or loss in investments in the year. The bottom bar chart shows the level of our general fund by year compared to the requirements of the reserve policy. And you can see in this chart that we met the reserves policy target in the 23-24 financial year. In terms of achieving financial sustainability, we produce a multi-term financial plan. This is our rolling 5-year budget, which helps us plan and take a longer-term view. And we're already working on our business case and planning for our 25-26 financial year. We know that the external environment can be uncertain, but as I mentioned just now, we undertake future financial planning and we have sufficient financial stability such that we don't have to break even each year. As a charity, we are required by the Charity Commission to hold those reserves, sufficient reserves to undertake charitable activities to ensure we are financially secure. And that financial security means we can safely plan to have a deficit in some years, drawing down on our reserves if we can see long-term return on the investment to meet the charitable purpose. And we should remember that ultimately, charities hold reserves to do things which support our beneficiaries. And this could be members or other beneficiaries that help us deliver our strategy, in this case, Activate 2028. And the IOSH financial reserves are stable. They include large cash balances on our balance sheet, plus our investments, as we spoke about earlier, and these provide an additional buffer and can be utilised if needed. Thank you for listening today. I hope this has provided you with some further detail and assurance on the IOSH financial position for the year ending 31st of March 2024 and beyond. We will now move to the questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Val, I've got some questions that have come in for you. The first question is, could you tell us about the nature of IOSH investments and any plans to move towards an ethical fund?
Yeah, thank you, Jolene. So as I mentioned in the presentation, the investments are professionally managed on our behalf by Stanhope Consulting. And we very much have an ambition that our funds are invested within ethical products, because clearly the nature of the work that we are involved with means that this is a criteria for us. And we have recently moved some funds to what we deem to be a more ethical product. So that's very much at the top of our minds, and we wouldn't want to knowingly invest in something that was unethical. In terms of any changes to those investments, we have a finance and investment committee and we have a reserves and investments policy. So any changes that were to be made have to go through proper due diligence and governance. And as I mentioned in my presentation, there may be years where we need to draw down on those reserves. We haven't so far, but that is a possibility if we need to invest. But we've got those checks and balances in place.
Thank you. The next question is around the annual report. The latest annual report has less detail than previous reports. Why is this?
Yes, of course. I'm going to hand over to Vanessa perhaps to talk about the impact report, because that's the reason that the annual report and accounts is slightly reduced this year.
Yes. So I think we wanted to make sure that we're working to our statutory duties as trustees of the charity. Then obviously we have an obligation to make sure that we follow particular reporting. So you'll be aware that we had new auditors in the last financial year. So they've supported us to streamline the annual report and accounts to make it a little bit more succinct, hopefully a little easier to engage with, and to make sure that the sort of statutory information is really clear. So what we've done is sort of separate out. So we now have an impact report as well, which you can find on the IOSH website, which perhaps tells a little bit more of the story and sort of dovetails with the presentation that I gave earlier. So the sort of narrative is still there, just in a slightly different place.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, how is the value of gift aid determined each year?
Thank you for that, Jolene. So the idea with having a trading entity within a charity is not unusual. Most charities will have trading entities. If you think about those charities that have shops up and down the high street, they will all be gift aiding those profits from those charitable, non-charitable activities to the charities. And the amount is determined by taking the profits of that trading subsidiary, accounting for tax, and then gift aiding anything that's left over. We may determine in a particular year that we want to invest more in ISL, but basically that's the way it functions.
Okay, thank you. And the last question is, how is income received from members recognised in the accounts?
Thank you, Jo. So income is received as it is due. So if I'm a member and I join in November today, 1 month of my income will be shown in the November accounts, 1 month in December, January, etc. So income is recognised as it's due, in line with standard accounting practice.
Okay, thank you. That's the last of the questions.
Thank you.
Time slot.
Thank you, Jolene. Thank you all for answering those questions. We move on to the item of business, which is item 2. This is to confirm Stuart Hughes as immediate past president for the year. He seems to be very happy. And this is in accordance with our bylaws. Stuart Hughes, who's been a president for the last 1 year, shall become an immediate past president. And I have to say, thank you very much for all the efforts you put in, Stuart. I think it's a huge commitment. I know 1 year flies by when you're a president with all the things you're doing and keeping yourself busy, but it's not just a time dedication for yourself, but commitment from family and everything else. So we really, really, truly understand the time and effort it takes, and driving it for 1 year with the passion that you have done it. It's absolute commitment that shows that your commitment to IOSH, and we really wholeheartedly thank you for your time in delivering on that. Thank you very much. And I would like to present this to you. Open it up. Nice fancy medal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Cool.
With that, I confirm Stuart's appointment as immediate past president for the next year, and I would like to ask him to say a few words and reflect on his time.
Grand. Thank you very much, Chair. I suppose to the membership, really, I've relished the opportunity of being the 57th president of IOSH. I've learned that it's a role in which you can't change the world, but you can change people's worlds. And I think 12 months ago, I set out to focus on our members, our profession, and our impact on society, and I've held that as a guiding star. I've done my best to be humble in my aspirations, to be gracious in my success, and to be resilient in my failure. I've accepted both the challenge and the support of the membership. I've done my best to listen more than I've spoken. It's not always easy. I've sat with people's challenges and issues to really appreciate the concerns and respond directly to those. And it's definitely been a lesson in balancing what's important to individuals versus what's the benefit for the membership. In the last 12 months, for both council and the presidential team, I've worked incredibly hard on behalf of the membership. And I'm proud to have led and implemented a significant governance review in terms of fit for future for council. And I'd just like to formally commend governance for their work and support, and for the clarity that they've provided to the council working group. Wouldn't have been possible without you, so thank you very much. I'm really proud to, I think we've already mentioned it, the recognising the volunteers awards. I think it's really, really critical that we say thank you to our volunteers and recognise the power that we have within that network. It's incredible. As a presidential team, we've collaborated together to highlight our sector groups and to really help people understand what those groups do and who's involved and how you can get involved. And I'd encourage you to take a look at those intro videos. We've led through the leadership voice, through the CEO podcast series, and brought leaders of organisations views on what they need from the safety profession and how they see it as enabling sustainable business growth. And there's been some incredible pieces of work to be able to champion. We've kind of had something on those videos from the rural industries in Western Africa, but also I'd just call out the ARUP and IOSH report towards a safe and healthy future of work. If you've not seen that, I'd recommend that you download and take a look at that. I think that was a really positive piece of work, great thought leadership, which we've kind of spoken to. Presidential team had a phenomenal year. We've supported over 100 events across leadership, networking, digital transformation, wellbeing, mental health, and much more. We have presented as a unified and cohesive unit, and to all the presidential team, I'd like to thank them for their dedication. A special mention to Lawrence Webb. He's been impeccable. He's given us great service to IOSH over 2 decades, and he's been an exemplar in every role he's had within the presidential team. So would commend him on that. Richard Bate, some hearty congratulations. We'll find out why soon, but he's been a very, very dedicated VP. David Arku and Michelle Stoneley have had great first years as vice presidents, and they've taken to the challenge with great gusto. David's representing really, really well on that global scale, and Michelle's passion for grassroots is really infectious. We've had some people nominated for VPs, and we'll see if they've been successful, so I won't talk about that. To the board and to SLT, I've really enjoyed the collaborative approach to getting things done. That does include robust challenge and constructive disagreement, and much it should. But I think what's been really powerful has been the kind of early seeking of inputs and opinions from council into all of the processes. So long may that continue. Bobby, you recognise it's more than just me that's been involved in this, so thank you very much to my girlfriend and the kids for putting up with all this IOSH stuff. And finally to our new president. It's almost lock the gates. I've watched you come into council and make a significant impact. You've brought that determination, confidence and passion to the presidential team, and you'll be an amazing president for IOSH. All power to you. That's it. It's been a blast.
Thank you, Stuart.
Back to you, Chair. Sorry, I should have said that.
Thank you very much. On that note, on the final note of Stuart's, I think we move on to the next item on our agenda, which is to confirm Kelly Nicoll as president for the next year. Under our constitution and bylaw 25, the president-elect, who's Kelly Nicoll, shall, if willing and able to stand for office, become the president at this AGM immediately following her year of office as president-elect. I can congratulate and confirm Kelly's appointment as president for the next year, and I would like Stuart to pass on the presidential medal, and I would follow that with Kelly with a few words.
Congratulations. I'm super excited to see what you do, and all the very best. Enjoy that.
Thank you.
Hi everyone. It's an honour to step up as your 58th president of IOSH, and I am really proud to be the 8th woman to hold this position. It's been an awesome year as your president-elect under Stuart's stewardship, and I'm really looking forward to this year. Stuart has had a phenomenal year, and I'm really excited to take the helm and continue his work in celebrating our volunteers and members loudly and proudly, and taking the reins of a changing council and presidential team. I was privileged to represent all 50,000 of you as part of IOSH's delegation to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting a few weeks ago. And I left there more inspired and more excited about the work we do, if that's even possible. Everything on our agenda was discussed at every roundtable, side event and presentation I heard or spoke at. And IOSH's collaboration with organisations like the ILO, the World Health Organization and the Commonwealth, as well as other strategic partners, will help create the world that is safer and healthier for everyone. My overarching theme this year is telling the story of the value of IOSH. I believe that the more we connect to each other through the stories we tell, the more closer we become, and the more genuine and authentic we are, the better relationships we create around us, the more influence we can have, and the better we can deliver the main purpose of our role, ensure that everyone gets to go home at the end of the day. So firstly, I want to look at a particular aspect of the health and safety, specifically looking at professional well-being, how we look after ourselves when we spend so much time looking after other people. I have experienced both burnout and exceptionally poor mental health during my career, but found that I felt I was unable to reach out to others for support because I was always the one that everybody reached out to. Building excellence within our profession, one of our missions, cannot be done without ensuring that we have the resilience, the support, and the community around us when we need it too. The second area is around the tools we use in our everyday toolkit. I want to look at how we make use of coaching skills within our management styles. Coaching and safety is about so much more than just having safety conversations as part of a behavioural safety implementation. It's about genuine engagement and helping people to make use of their own knowledge, experience, and skills. If health and safety is a team sport, we need to continue to collaborate, not only within our own industry, but wider across business. We are, in essence, the coach of the team, the director of the play. We create the playbook, give those doing the work the play-by-play and the framework, but we're the ones on the side of the pitch watching and hoping that everything we've taught and practiced and trained for works out. IOSH has a fantastic mentoring and reverse mentoring programme, and adding coaching skills into the mix can help us all as health and safety professionals to ensure that we're creating the collaborative, supportive cultures we want to make our world of work safer and healthier. My third focus area is around significant injuries and fatalities, specifically working at height. It's an area that's very close to my heart, as I'm sure it is for far too many people across our profession. The worst two incidents I've ever had to deal with in my career have involved falls from heights, both with considerably different outcomes. I want to look at how we ensure that those who are on the pitch doing the work are genuinely engaged, listened to, and worked with to ensure that they all get to go home to their families. So, the power of storytelling. The stories we tell to support each other in knowing that we are not alone in this industry. The stories we tell to remind everyone that what we do is far more important than a technical knowledge exercise, that what we do helps bring people home. And the stories we tell to bring other people along with us on this journey to a safer and healthier world of work. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for that. I'm sure we will look forward to that storytelling over the next 1 year, and there will be plenty of yet to come. Moving on to the item 4 on the agenda is to confirm the president-elect for the next year, and in accordance with our bylaw 10(2), we requires confirming at this AGM, and we would confirm Richard Bate shall become the president-elect for the next year. I congratulate and confirm Richard's appointment as the president-elect. Quickly moving on to the next item, which is the ordinary resolution. The first ordinary resolution is to approve the appointment of Crowe UK LLP of the Colmore Building in Birmingham as auditors for the next year. And this is again under the bylaw 10 of 10(2)(b) of corporate members are required to appointment of the auditors for the coming year. I would like to call on someone to propose and someone to second for this resolution, please, that Crowe UK LLP are to be appointed as auditors for the next year.
That's been proposed by David Arku and seconded by Gary Latta.
Thank you very much for that. That is approved, I'm presuming, after that. Thank you very much. we will now display the voting actually for the appointment of the auditors. As you can see from the voting, the approve is at 813. There were 26 against and 29 of the members abstained from the decision. So the approve is at 813, and this is an ordinary resolution and requires a simple majority of the total voting members, and because of that majority, the resolution has been approved. Thank you. The next is ordinary resolution 2, which is to approve the appointment of vice presidents of the institution. And bylaw 21, it is necessary to approve the appointment of vice presidents who were nominated by the council on October the 9th under the bylaw 26. The first one is to approve the appointment of Dr. Gary Latta as vice president for the 3-year term of the office. And the second one is to approve the appointment of Dr. Shaun Lundy as vice president for 3-year term of the office.
So we need a proposer and a seconder
Sorry,
for
yeah.
Gary.
Sorry. We need a proposer and a seconder for Gary's appointment, please.
That's been proposed by Dr Jonathan Backhouse and seconded by John English.
Thank you very much for that. And as you can see, the votings for the approval has at 789, 40 against and 39 abstention. And the resolution has been approved by 789. Thank you. Can we please get a proposer and a seconder for the appointment of the second vice president, please, Shaun Lundy?
Proposed by Michelle Stoneley and seconded by Kevin Bywater.
There they are. The voting numbers are approved 805, against 30 and abstain 33. And as with previous, it's a simple majority, so that has been approved by 805 and they've been appointed to the post. Thank you. And that concludes that item, which is the appointment of the vice president. Yeah, so now down to the special resolution 1 in respect of the networks review undertaken by IOSH, which is approved changes to the bylaws subject to any amendments required by Privy Council. I would like to call upon someone to propose and someone to second special resolution 1, please. Please use the raise hand function now to do this. I'll take the first 2 hands raised virtually.
Proposed by Dr Jonathan Backhouse and seconded by Liam Scott.
Okay, thank you. In respect of the network review undertaken by IOSH, I think we have, as you can see, the approved ratings are at 770 votes are and 69 votes for against and 29 abstained from voting. This particular special resolution requires a minimum of 75%, as I have previously alluded. And as you can see, we have received a 91.6% approved rating for this from the members. Basically, on that basis, this resolution, special resolution 1, has been approved. And the next steps.
Thank you, Bobby. Just to confirm the next steps, we will now send a formal submission to Privy Council, engage with committees and finalise transition plans with a view to implementation happening in spring 2025.
Okay, thank you very much. And the next item is the special resolution 2. This is in respect of governance review undertaken by IOSH Council. Approve changes to the bylaws, subject to, again, any amendments required by the Privy Council as usual. I would like to again call a proposer and a seconder for this resolution, please.
And this has been proposed by David Arcu and seconded by Aaron Doyle.
Thank you, David and Aaron. Again, like previous resolution, this resolution requires a minimum of 75%. As you can see from the voting results, 780 members have voted to approve the resolution versus 62 against the resolution, and 26 of the members have abstained from the voting process. And it provides an overall majority of 92.5%, which is what is required, above 75%. On that basis, the special resolution 2 has been approved. Thank you. I think that's the next steps.
Thank you, Bobby. So next steps will be a formal submission to Privy Council, and we will continue the changing of council across this year, and hopefully it'll be ready soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and best of luck with that. I think that's the end of the confirm. I can confirm there are no other items on the business. And thank you everyone for spending time and being here and voting in particularly. And I hereby confirm the closing of the AGM meeting. Thank you very much.